I don't know what God wants me to say in this video, and I really hope this video doesn't overshadow my last video. But I really feel the urge to record a video. I don't know what it's really, I think I kind of have an idea of what it's going to be about, but I'm not really sure. Even after my epiphany today, I fell into sin. But I think God's working. God's working, and I think I know what He's doing in my life. This isn't going to be a full testimony video, but this is just kind of going to be like just a testimony about all the problems I've had and I still have. I was a very lonely kid, and I still am very lonely. I mean, I have friends. I have 2 friends right now. I literally only have 2 friends. One works a lot, and I'm hopefully going to see them this weekend, but maybe not because they're planning on going on a trip with their family. And the other one I know for a fact I'm going to see this weekend. But, you know, I work too, so I don't really see them until the weekend, and sometimes I don't even see anyone on the weekend. And like most of this summer, my one friend has been somewhere, not around here, for most of the summer. And the other friend is working a lot more than me, and I recently got a job a couple weeks ago, towards the end of this summer. So it's like I've been alone most of the summer, most of my life. Even then, like, when I had more friends, like, I've really only had one friend that I'm still friends with to this day. Oh my gosh. Sorry. My sinuses are, like, stupid. But yeah. I really only have one friend that I'm still friends with to this day that I've actually gone to their house and they've gone to my house. But I've mainly been around adults for my whole life, which is why I think I've always been kind of mature for my age. And I've always felt different. I've always felt like a ghost. I've always been an observer, but I've also always been very straightforward and very talkative. That's why I like to call myself an ambivert, an extrovert, and an introvert mashed together in one, because I'm very talkative and I'm very straightforward with people, but at the same time, you know, I've struggled and struggle with anxiety and depression and, you know, overthinking, and at the same time, sometimes all the time, I really feel like a ghost, like an observer. And honestly, as a kid, like, my escape was the internet. My friends were YouTubers. And I did make, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird to say that, but, I mean, my parents are older, and that's definitely where I got my love of, like, older generations and retro stuff. And honestly, sometimes I feel like I grew up in the 2000s. Like, not literally, but the vibe, you know what I mean? Like, because, you know, we used a lot of analog technology in my childhood. and I really only went on the internet at my house. Like, I didn't really take the internet anywhere else with me, like that much at all. And so I was mainly offline. When I was at home, I'd be online, but that's mainly the only places I would take it with me. It's home. So it's like, I had a very different childhood than most Gen Z kids. I didn't have a tablet in front of my face 24/7 all the time. A less offline childhood. And a more offline childhood. And I like older generations. I like old retro stuff, but also there was pros and cons to me being on YouTube at such a young age. The pros, nostalgia. I made a lot of good memories, and my parents raised me well. But in the times where I felt like I couldn't talk to anyone, or where I felt like I didn't have anyone else to talk to, I mean, yes, I would talk to God, but again, I wasn't really, like I said, I was definitely closer to God as a child, but I wasn't really seeking Him as much as I am now, if that makes any sense. But, when I felt so alone, when I felt like I couldn't even talk to my parents or my friends about anything, I'd just watch YouTubers. Like, I'd just watch maybe some of the older people who watch me. Probably wouldn't know who these people are, but I'd just watch Corey Kenshin. I'd just watch, the old gamers, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, the old stuff. When I was like 6 and stuff, I'd just watch them, and it's weird. I was so lonely as a child. It literally felt like they were my friend. It was weird. Some weird stuff. And then as I got older, I kind of matured, and I still watched the internet and stuff, but of course it was more mature. Like, I knew they were, just more mature, but I still watched the internet a lot, and it had its pros and cons. It had its pros, like, it was genuinely nostalgic, and it was genuinely fun for me as a kid, to watch gamers and stuff. But also, there was cons, because there was loneliness, there was social media addiction, and there's also porn and all that stuff that ended up being introduced to me through the internet, But, my childhood is gone. My mom's just still trying to hold on. Every time I'm like, I gotta act like an adult now, my mom's like, oh, but you're not an adult yet. So don't grow up too fast. I'm like, Mom, I'm 17, and I'm gonna be 18 in a half a year. Better start acting like an adult. But no, she's fine. But yeah, I feel like I've always struggled with living in the moment. Like, it's always been, I need to go to the next moment, like that. That is one of the cons to social media. It kind of wires your brain to always need to go to the next moment, and you never kind of just sit and enjoy the moment, because I'm pretty sure it's stoicism, right? This moment is really all you ever have. The past is gone, and it will never come back, and the future is not here yet. The future is always in front of you, and the past is always behind you, and the past and the future don't exist in this moment. Like, the past happened, and it did exist, but it doesn't exist in this moment, and the future hasn't happened, and it doesn't. The future never, if you really think about it, the future never exists, and the past did exist, but it doesn't exist anymore. All you have is this moment. So just live in this moment. But yeah. But I feel like social media, that's one of the cons of social media, you know. It kind of wires your brain to, like, next moment all the time. But you just sit with the moment, you know. Your life is just one big moment. Wow, dude. Crazy, man. Hope I'm not boring anyone. With this video. 2 videos in one day. Probably love it. Not that big of a YouTuber. And I honestly don't want to be. I don't want to be, like, I mean, the most subscribers I'd probably be comfortable with getting, if I ever did, would be, like, a couple thousand, maybe. Like if I got, like, for example, 60,000 subscribers one day in the future, I'd be happy with that. Once it starts pushing a mil, then I'd be a little bit like, God, is this your plan for me? I'm kind of feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Like, I mean, I wouldn't mind being a relatively large channel, but I don't know if I'd want to be, like, millions of subscribers. Like, I don't know if I'd want to be, like, a really large YouTube channel, but I don't know. But yeah, I love nostalgia. I love retro vibes. And I love the innocence of childhood that I'm never going to be able to get back. It's never going to be the same ever again. You can try to recreate it, but it'll never feel the same. And it feels so weird now, being 17. Like, it's almost like I never thought I'd actually be 17. You're always like, oh yeah, I'll be like, you know, when you're like 12 or 13, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'll be like 17. But you don't really realize you're actually going to be 17. And then you're 17 and you're like, I'm actually 17. That's crazy. You know? Like, I feel like the age where, like, you know, you're always anticipating. Sorry about that. You're always anticipating being older. And you're like, oh, I can't wait to get older. I can't wait to move on to the next stage of my life. It's so exciting. And I think the age where, like, you stop and you kind of realize, like, I don't want to get any older is, like, 15. Or at least that was for me. Like, I remember, like, every age of my life, I was like, I can't wait to get older. I can't wait to get older. But then once I turned 15, I remember, like, the closer I got to my 16th birthday, I was like, I wish I could be 15 forever. Enjoy being 15. Enjoy it. I honestly, to this day, think that being 15 is, like, the best age. I mean, prove me wrong once I get to older ages. But I honestly think 15 is the best age. You don't have too much responsibility. Like, you don't necessarily need to get a job. You don't have the ability to drive. You don't necessarily need to get a job. You don't necessarily need to get, like, licenses and stuff and all that stuff, you know, like, you don't, I mean, it's smart to have a bank account at 15, but you don't necessarily need a bank account. You're like right in the middle. You're not too young to where it's like you don't have a lot of freedom, but you're also not too old to where it's like you don't have a lot of responsibility. At least for me, like, you know, I'm sure I'm going to experience many great things in the future, but as of right now at 17, I think my golden year was 15. But, hey, I'm closer to God now, and I'm not living in as much sin as I was at 15, so that's a pro. I'm maturing, and that's a pro. So, you know, there's always pros and cons to everything, you know. Except a relationship with Jesus, because he can help you through any problems that you have, if you let him. This video is getting kind of long. I don't want this video to be too long. I don't want this video to go past 15 minutes. So before it hits 16 minutes, I'm just going to finish this up. I don't know. I guess the main theme for this video is just trusting God. Live in the moment, because this is the only moment you're ever going to have. And I feel like once you kind of realize, once you kind of get in that mindset of, like, literally any day could be my last day. Like, I could die tomorrow. Like, realistically, I could die tomorrow. And Jesus could come back tomorrow. But again, I mean, that's realistic for a Christian. But again, in general, you could die tomorrow. You know? Just anything could happen. So just live in the moment. Live in the moment. And I feel like once you actually absorb that and realize that, it's amazing. But yeah, so I'm going to log off this video. Hope you guys have a good night or whatever time you're watching this. Just live in the moment.